Yeah, I'm gonna go with quarterback. You know, when I was going through, I wrote an article for 24/7 on the nation's best quarterback rooms, and the one thing that I found was that the really elite rooms that you really liked, they had a star quarterback, right? Like
Mhm.
obviously, like you want to have C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young or Caleb Williams or whoever. The really good ones also had an experienced backup, right? And they had a quarterback that they were developing for the future that they really liked. Now, I'm not saying Kansas has like a top 10 quarterback room in the country, but I am saying doesn't Kansas kind of fit that formula? Like you look at Jalen Daniels, the way that he played at the end of the year. I mean, he's kind of the face of the program in a lot of ways right now. Jason Bean, not only did he start for most of last year, he almost led KU to a win over Oklahoma. So it's not like he's a backup where if your quarterback has to go out for a play or two, you're like, oh my gosh, our program is dead. And then you look at Ethan Vasco. And
Mm.
part of the reason I like looking at Vasco is I think it's very instructive on the way this staff looks at quarterbacks. And when you saw them evaluating quarterbacks at camp last year, I know you had a little more of a chance to see them this year in the way they evaluated quarterbacks with the guys that they had come through camp and everything. They want a middle infielder for a quarterback, somebody who can make the scoop, have quick hands, get the ball out, and can make throws from different arm angles as needed, right? Like if the play breaks down, the play's not done. And I think
Mhm.
that Vasco is the kind of loose athlete that they really value in those spots. Somebody that can make plays off schedule, off rhythm. When you do your 5-step drop and you're looking around and nothing's there and you need to extend the play, Vasco has a lot of that. He has a lot of that athleticism that plays up, the ability to make throws from different arm angles, the really loose, easy arm. And Ben Easters was a guy that was probably a better fit under Brent Dearman, because they did run so many RPOs at his
Mm.
high school. He was familiar with the system and all of those things. And I'm not saying Dearman, I'm not saying that Easters is going to, yield that number 3 spot to Vasco. Like obviously, if you're KU, you'd probably want a red shirt Vasco anyway. But I am saying that I think that Vasco is maybe the higher ceiling option when you look at that
Yeah.
quarterback room moving on a little bit. But I got to read this for you real quick on Jalen Daniels, right? So ESPN put up this graphic at Big 12 Media Days, and you were down on the floor. But it showed it
Oh.
in Jalen Daniels' 3 starts, right, at the end of the Big 12 season. He was first in the Big 12 in touchdowns responsible for. He was second in the Big 12 in ESPN's QBR, which is their like weird quarterback rating thing. Second in the Big 12 in completion percentage, and he was third in just pure passing yards. And so when you look at that, I get, small sample size. I 100% get that.
Mhm.
It's 3 games. Some people would probably look at those games that they were against. Texas, not a great team. TCU had, parted ways with his coach or him
Yeah.
parting ways with them, however you want to put it. West Virginia was not a great team last year. And so I get that there are reasons to be a little bit hesitant about it. But I also think that that gives an indicator for just how well Jalen Daniels played over those 3 games, even if it was a small sample size.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day too, right? Those are the teams that KU needs to beat if
Sure.
they're going to take a step forward, right? Whether it be getting a multiple Big 12 win season, you need to do that before you can even talk about bowl games, right? And so I think just for Jalen Daniels to do it against that competition, I still think is positive. You mentioned Ethan Vasco. I think the buzz on him has been undeniable. Now we'll see what it is when the pads come on and the bullets
Sure.
start flying at fall camp, right? That's a big caveat here. But I think seeing Vasco at camp, he does not look like an 18-year-old. There might be an 18 now, I'm not sure. But he does not look like he's 18 or 19 years old. Like he is ripped. And that was
Sure.
before really the full summer, right? We're talking mid-June
Yeah.
here. So they had all of July to do work with him too. So, the buzz on him has been pretty positive. I think for me, like people aren't going to care, but the quarterback, the third string quarterback battles, what I'm interested for this position in the fall camp, because I think we all know Jalen Daniels is the starter. We all know Jason Bean is the starter too, right? And so you look at the team overall and what this is going to lead to. You have a really good quarterback, and I think you look at the Big 12. Who do you take Jalen Daniels over, right? Like, I think you take him over Duggan at TCU. I'd take him over Adrian Martinez at Kansas State, I think. I think you take him over Deckers at Iowa State. I think he's not proven yet. And then Shook at TC or Texas Tech. Like, you've got a middle of the conference quarterback. Like, that's huge. And so I think overall you got to feel pretty good about the quarterback spot.